Build it and they will come doesn't really apply to marketing your medical practice. Build it, build some more, add on another room. You want to continue to add content to your website. This is called patient content marketing, and we're going to show you 3 ways that you can improve your patient content marketing. A content marketing strategy is fairly simple. Create good content, put it where your patients can see it, and then repeat. But if you do any of these steps wrong, it can be a waste of your time, a big waste of money, and won't result in any more patients coming to your website. So we're going to go over these 3 ways to do this. First, let's look at creating the content. So you start up your favorite word processor, you choose new from the menu, up pops a blank screen, and then you stop. There's nothing more intimidating than a blank sheet of paper, digital or natural, just to stop anyone in their tracks. Creating content is difficult, but we're going to show you a couple of ways for you to create your own or source it from some very helpful sources. Let's look at the first thing, how to create your own content. Original content is the hardest thing you can do. Now, you are more than likely able to dictate your patient notes. Sounds great, comes out perfect every time. Trying to put it down on paper, you're going to judge yourself, you're going to be harsh, and worst of all, you may not really write effective content. For example, you might want to start up with a very broad, sweeping statement about how dramatic or bad a condition is. That's not what you want to do. You want to start off with the subject. Narrative content is what you want to focus on, where we take through a question and answer type of approach. What is a condition? What is a treatment? How often is it needed? How effective is it? What are any risks and benefits? The same sort of things that if a patient asks you, that's how you should respond. Question and answer formats are the absolute easiest. What you want to have is a typical layout, a summary of what you're going to say, then those questions, and then a summary of what you just said. It's a beginning and an end. And then you're going to want to learn a lot more about how to write content for search engines. If you don't put the keywords into the right order up at the top, if you don't learn semantic markup, it's not going to be as effective. However, any content you write, any content at all, will help you with search engine results because it's continuing to feed the machine. We can teach you a lot more about search engine optimization in other videos, other articles. Look at those, search for how to write SEO content, and learn a little more about how to write your own content. Syndicated content is kind of maligned by both doctors and by SEO experts. Syndicated content means you're getting your content from a credible source. VoxMD has a library of syndicated content. Adam, all kinds of other medical marketing people, everybody has their own libraries. Now, what you'll hear from certain SEO experts is this is duplicate content. Duplicate content will get you kicked out of Google or you won't be found. They're wrong. So what you want to know is syndicated content is actually valued by Google. You want the biggest example of it all? AP. AP, Associated Press, would be out of business if they couldn't syndicate their content. CNN and Fox regularly have the exact same story. They all show up in the listing. So syndicated content from a quality source is fine for you to use. Disregard any SEO expert who tells you it's duplicate content because they are not current. Google themselves has said you will not receive a penalty if you're using syndicated content. And even if you're using duplicated content, there really isn't a chance of you getting knocked down in the search. Obviously, you don't want to use the same source as someone else in your town or in your office because then Google will make a judgment about who to feature on the front page. The syndicated content is a good thing. It can be licensed from different sources and used as often as you like on your own webpage. One more thing, when you put this on your webpage, you always have the option to localize it to your market in the title, in the description, and sometimes even above the content itself. The last place, easiest place to get good quality content is from your medical device company. Ask your reps about what kind of content syndication programs, videos, whatever they've got to bring to the table. Ask them, and they can likely give you some good quality content. Now, one key thing, you want to make sure this is showing up on your site. An iframe where you bring their content into your website via this thing called an iframe, which is basically a window from your site to theirs, worthless. It will not help you at all with SEO. The content has to live or appear on your website. It will live on your website if they actually give you, here's your video, here's your content. If it's syndicated, they'll likely have plugins and things that they can give to you. That's actually a more ethical, safer way because it's still their content on their server. It just appears on yours. It's a win-win for them too. You can get, obviously, procedure and device-specific content, but many device companies have great anatomy, condition, and treatment content. So talk to all of them, ask them what they have, and use this as your practice or institution guidelines allow. Now that you've written or sourced this great content, you got it on your website, it's time to promote this to the rest of the world. We're going to talk about the best ways to do that. SEO and localization. I've said those words already, but here's what I want you to know about them. SEO, search engine optimization, is the means for you to take a piece of content and either arrange it so that the keywords and phrases that people search for appear higher, or marking it up. Within your editor, if you're doing this or you have a webmaster doing this, here's a couple of key rules to remember. H1. H1 is a markup where just one or two words or a short phrase is representative of what the article is about. And you have these H1 tags. You and I don't see these, the search engines do. It's called semantic markup, and you're going to have H1s, H2s, etc., kind of like an outline, with H1 being the most important. You only want to use H1 once. H2s, go nuts, do as many as you want. But these are to serve as information to search engines about what's important. Next thing is localization. If you do not put your city and state in your SEO title, the little tab at the top, and ideally throughout your article, you won't show up because Google isn't that magical. It doesn't really necessarily know where you are. So you always want to localize content the best you can, especially if it's treatment content. There's a million other SEO rules, and they vary in complexity and effectiveness. Read articles online, or better yet, invest in an SEO consultant who specializes in medical marketing. There's a lot of them out there. Use them, learn from them, and continue to use this to get your content found. Your website is the biggest way to leverage this content and expose it, and simple changes have a huge impact. Post things on social media. Now, I'm on the fence about the effectiveness of social media because, let's be realistic, if you're not putting up a cat picture or food for what you had for lunch or something about your kids or wife, then it's just not as interesting. It's not social. It's educational, and who wants that? So on Facebook and Twitter, when you are posting articles, use short, kind of attention-grabbing phrase. But here's the best thing about it. If you post it on Facebook and no one looks at your content, you still have a great link back to your website from a valued source. Facebook, same thing for Twitter. So don't worry about how many friends or followers you have. Those will build on time. Maybe they won't. Not going to matter to Google. All they know is you've got a link from these sources. So go ahead and post. Now, if you do want to really promote these posts, Facebook has a very strategically named tool. It's called Promoted Post. You pay a little bit of money, and it's a very effective spend, and you can have all of your posts appear not just to your friends, but to people within a demographic area, your city, your town, other towns you want to target, and those who are interested in healthcare. It's a very inexpensive tool, will get you a lot more views and click-throughs. One last thing, make sure that every single post you do does indeed have a link back to your website. Otherwise, you're just putting it out there in the wilderness. So you want that so that people can click through on those promoted posts, come to your website, learn a little more about you. Last thing we want to talk about is emailing and linking to your content. You want to create an email strategy, and this is something most doctors fail to do. Your number one source of patients is referrals from other doctors, right? Your second is word of mouth. To get that word of mouth, your patients have to be thinking about you. Now, after they've engaged with you and they've gone off, how do you stay in touch with them? An email newsletter is your new best friend for a couple of reasons. You want to sign up on MailChimp. MailChimp.com, free newsletters. Up to, I believe it's 12,000 emails. So you can put list of your patients. You are collecting their email addresses, right? Put those lists on MailChimp, and then take content that you write quarterly that are about back pain in general, seasonal content like how not to shovel snow, simple little things. And you put that in a very simple templated email newsletter on MailChimp, mail it out to all of your patients. But don't send them the whole article. Send them the first line. And then say, read more, and link it back to your website. That's going to keep you top of mind. Even if they don't open your email, they see your name, they remember you. We have a 40% average open rate on these types of newsletters. Patients love it, and we know that it works. It gets open, and it gets shared. So that's a great strategy. It's zero cost to you, and you'll want to do that because you're adding more content to your website, continuing to grow that website, and you're bringing in external sources and hopefully more patients. Last step is repeat. Create more content and distribute more content across these different channels. This creates a network of content marketing and different touch points. There's a lot more you can do. If you have a LinkedIn profile page, post to that. You can reuse the same content in multiple places. If you're an orthopedic surgeon, Becker's Ask a Question a Week. You can add your input into their content and ask for a link back. They'll do it. You can also put things on Pinterest if you're a pediatric-focused surgeon. That's where the moms go. So there's all kinds of different ways to continue to build this kind of web that markets to your patients, but you have to keep doing it, or your site will gradually drop. This works. Just continue to drip feed content into your website, always being the destination. Post things leading back to your website on those different touch points. Do that email marketing campaign. You'll be amazed at how effective it is. And those will just continue to do that. Those things will continue to boost you up higher and higher in the search rankings for your name, for your service line, and for treatments and conditions. So I hope these tips have been of some help to you, and feel free to call us or email us at info@voxmd.com. We'd love to help you.